Sup guys, it's Nelson here from Jolly Roger Airsoft, and today we're going to be starting our sessions on basic infantry tactics. Now this is the Havoc Squad training program that I've decided to make into a video series, and this is the first session, so be sure to subscribe for all the rest, and we will keep you in the loop as to what's going on. Now, this is just going to cover the basics of infantry tactics, and should give you a good starter guide to getting into, tactical maneuvers that can enhance your tactical, endeavors. So, this program is used by us at Jolly Roger Airsoft to train our Havoc Squad members in basic tactics. It's aimed at providing a flexible and useful tactical guide for operators that don't want to get super into all those military guides and fleet manuals and such. And it's not modeled after any one specific branch or service, so it's not, a solely Marine Corps or Army tactics guide. It's a universal guide that can be used in many different applications and can be molded to fit the individual unit, as this is more dedicated towards airsoft groups that want to enhance their capabilities tactics-wise. So, with that, let's get into what we're going to cover. First, we're going to start off with personal responsibility, what the person needs to know, care for equipment, squad organization, reaction to contact, formations, violence of action, and communication. So, number one, personal responsibility. You don't want to be the weakest link in your squad. Keep yourself physically and mentally capable of carrying out the missions, and know your objectives and orders. Pay attention. Be there mentally. Be an asset to your squad instead of a hindrance. You don't want to be holding the squad back. You want to be able to be used in a tactical situation to give your squad the maximum, capability possible. So, you want to be a weapon. Maintain a working weapon and know how to troubleshoot your gun, because, if your gun doesn't shoot, you're not helping anybody, you're not combat effective, and if your gun's always broken, then you're not going to be very, much of an asset to the squad. The squad's going to be escorting you because you don't have a gun instead of lending your gun to the fight. So keep your gun working, be capable of carrying out the missions, and know your objectives and orders. Be smart. It's always good for everybody in the squad to have a good understanding of tactics, not just the squad or fire team leaders. So, squad organizations. Well, a company is bigger than a platoon, which is bigger than a squad, which is bigger than a fire team. So, a squad is usually between 5 to 12 men, and is often divided into smaller sections or fire teams. So, 3 or 2 fire teams of, 3 or 4 guys each. Most airsoft operations are either going to be on the fire team level or the squad level. Rarely are you going to get to the platoon level, and very, very rarely are you going to manage a company level. So, focus more on these squad and fire team aspects. There's no one uniform organization of a squad from unit to unit. It depends on what you're doing and who you're doing it with. So, we're going to look at 3 different types. The U.S. Marine Corps uses 12-man rifle squads divided into 3 fire teams of 4 men each. This means that the squad has 3 sub-elements that can maneuver and give support to each other individually. The U.S. Army uses 8 to 16 men divided into 2 sections, so it's the same concept, dividing the squad into smaller fire teams. British Royal Army, pretty much the same thing, 9 men divided into 2 fire teams with a squad leader. So really the concept here is to divide the squad, which is the second smallest element, well I guess third, into 2 different fire teams, or 3 different fire teams, to give the squad greater flexibility in combat. So, formations. When you're in formations, when you're in combat, it's important to maintain 360-degree coverage when stationary, regardless of what formation you're in. So, that means whenever you're stopped, you want to be looking in every different direction. So you want to have one guy on every sector. Now it helps when you have people to call out their sectors, and people communicate where they are looking to your team. There's no one universal formation layout, like automatic rifleman doesn't always go behind the team leader. It depends on what service, what branch, what unit you're talking about, so you're going to have to personalize that to fit your own needs and know the roles of each soldier. So, there are 3 big formations you need to know. There are more than this, but these are the 3 main ones. You have the column, you have the line, and you have the wedge. Wedge is going to be the most used, but now we're going to talk about the column. This is not a line. It is the opposite of a line. Used in dense terrain and low visibility, and it's often used for traveling patrols. This is really one guy behind the other, just walking in a column. It's pretty simple. It is strongest to the flanks, weak to the front. Here we have an ARMA simulation of a column. It's pretty simple, just walking down the line.
Now, the wedge is the most flexible formation and really the most important to know. This provides good fire in all directions. You can turn and give fire in any different direction you need. And it's the most common formation when you're in combat or moving to contact, just because of its flexibility and, because it is a very easy to manipulate formation to get what you need and get fire where you need it, when you need it. It's a very important formation to know for any basic tactician, just because it's used so much when you're moving and assaulting and everything. This is pretty much the default combat formation, I guess you would say. Here we have another arma simulation. Here's the wedge. As you can see, it makes a wedge. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now, the line is the opposite of a column. You're going to line up shoulder to shoulder, and this gives you the most firepower to the front, and it's weakest to the flank. So yeah, it's exactly opposite of a column. Again, where everyone isn't important. Just know that it's shoulder to shoulder, facing forward. Here is another arma simulation of a line. You see these guys are kind of diagonal, but they're looking in a direction. That is your line formation. So now, violence of action. This is a very important part of, tacticalness, I guess you would say. It's the most critical component of tactical success. Doesn't matter how much schooling you have or anything. Some of the best airsoft players I know are just better at violence of action because they'll attack without fear, they'll move with purpose swiftly, they will be more aggressive, and, they will get more kills than everybody else will. The more aggressive team has a psychological advantage. If you move swiftly and aggressively from cover to cover with purpose, your enemy is going to have a hard time not being surprised by that, no matter how ready they are, and will probably miss their shots if they take them. Do not expose yourself for more than 3 to 5 seconds when you're moving. That's just a good rule of thumb. From cover to cover, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, find cover. You will, 99% of the time, this will give you a tactical advantage if you can be more aggressive, because the enemy is sitting there defending, and they're looking out, and they're ready, but they're not ready for someone to come rushing up, and, they don't want you to come rushing up. So, that being said, don't be stupid, move with purpose, but that's violence of action. Now, bounding is another very important technique you can learn. One element gives suppressing fire while the other team moves. It's pretty simple. It's like playing leapfrog with each other. Call moving when moving and set when finished. So when you're moving, yell out moving so the other element knows that you're moving and that they should be covering. And when you're set, yell it out so the other element knows that you're set and can start moving. The moving element will always sprint past the covering element in alternative bounding. Now in successive bounding, the moving element will move up to the lead element. But this next example is an example of alternative bounding. So let us watch Havoc Squad do their thing.
Well, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go!
Okay.
So as you can see, first squad is set. Second element moves now, being covered by the first. Now they're set.
Moving.
First element moves again.
Set.
Good. So, reaction to contact. This is going to be the last of the episode. When you are met with contact, find cover, hit the dirt. Identify threats, return fire, regain that fire superiority. Do this as fast as possible. The longer you take, the harder it is to get unpanned. Once you regain the fire superiority, you can either assault the hostile position or continue on your mission, whatever command wants you to do. But you can't stress enough, violence of action, move against the enemy, get up as fast as possible, know where the enemy is, don't just blindly fire into the woods, fire at your targets with precision fire, and suppress them. Next time, we are going to be talking offensive and defensive fundamentals, basic attack plans, tactical maneuvers, peeling and overwatch, patrol operations, cover and concealment, and probably some other stuff. So if you enjoyed this, or this helped you, or you want to continue on the series, please subscribe. Share this with your friends and teammates and everything. Make sure they can see it if you think it's worth their time. It's good to have a basic understanding of the tactics, and I hope to bring you that in this series of videos. So, with that being said, subscribe, like, share. Thanks for watching. Peace out.